Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is January 19th. There's a full moon outside, and it is going to be fully fun here at the Inner Circle podcast. What's going on, everyone? What's going on to my best girlfriend in the world? Melanie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am super excited,
We both
as you
are.
know, because we have a special guest. Let's just we'll get into our special guest in a few. First, let's just catch up on this weekend. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I don't know why I don't remember doing much this weekend, but it was a lot of rest and relaxation. Well, how was your weekend?
My weekend, well, as you know, I went to see Scream. I
Oh,
went to see
wait a
Scream.
minute. We both
You,
went to see Scream.
yeah. I went to see Scream Thursday, as you know. I had to do that like before it actually came out because I'm a horror geek and a Scream fan. But I went to see it again on Sunday because I had to see it twice.
Yeah,
So,
I was
what are
okay.
your thoughts without giving any spoilers?
Okay. I didn't like it. I absolutely felt like I didn't need to see it. I want my money back. But I'm kidding. No, honestly, it wasn't for me. I'm not a horror movie person,
No,
but
you're
at the
not.
same time, I felt like there wasn't a lot of horror in this movie. And I took my mom out on a date and we went and like bonded and watched it, but we also left like 10-15 minutes before the movie ended. So that tells you how much we didn't care for the movie.
Wait, so did you even see the killers and stuff? Like review them
Yeah,
stuff?
I seen them. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, how could you leave without the like reveal and
Maybe
stuff?
it was like 5 minutes before, and we turned around. We were like, okay, yeah, it's time to go, and we left. But yeah,
Yikes!
I'm
Yikes!
sure you liked it.
Well, listen, it's like a kid. Like you know what I mean? It's part of the franchise. So it's like a kid. You're gonna appreciate it. But, but I was a little. It was a little anticlimactic with the reveal and who the killers were and their motives. I was like,
My mom knew the killer like literally 15 minutes into the movie. So I was
both
like,
of
"Oh
them?
my
Or,
god, you were
whoa,
right."
oops. Listen, I'm
She
sorry, guys. There's some gonna be some slight spoilers if you haven't watched Scream yet. But both of them or just one of them?
she knew that it was both of them.
Oh, she
She
called.
knew. Yeah, which was weird. And it was at a specific time. We can talk about this in the after show, but she knew at a specific time, like she was like, "That's them. Two of them." Yep. And I was like, "Yeah, right." And she proved to be right. Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah. Well, if you guys want to catch, I um gave my thoughts and reviews on the Scream, an exclusive video on our YouTube. You guys could go and catch that. My thoughts and some hidden gems that I caught as a fan. Um, but yeah, we have as we said, we have a special guest today that I'm extremely excited for. We grew up watching. We MTV
Yes.
baby. We're MTV heads. We grew up
The
um,
nostalgia.
watching MTV, and me myself, I have watching her on Road Rules. I'm just so excited. Let's not just prolong it anymore. Let's bring on a special guest from MTV's Road Rules The Quest and the Challenge Battle of the Sexes and the most recent challenge All Stars 2 on Paramount Plus. Sophia Pasquis is here. Welcome to the
Hey,
circle.
Hi.
hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Oh,
Welcome.
thank you, thank you. My ladies look huge up in here. Sorry.
Girl, mine too. And mine's I can't hide them. I really
For
can't.
real, they're like a tray. Let me sit up.
Woo. Welcome to the Lady Club. How are you? How are you?
Lady
Welcome
Club.
to the show. How are you doing today?
God, I'm doing pretty good, keeping warm. It's been freezing around here, so I'm glad that it's not too bad today.
It's
Yeah,
gonna snow
and
tonight.
we're gonna get some snow. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't mind the snow because it doesn't technically have to be cold for snow, but
True.
yeah, I heard it's gonna snow and then it's gonna rain, like typical New York winter.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Sophia. So for the people who, I mean, if they're living under a rock or they're Gen Z, no hate
Yeah.
towards our Gen Z,
True.
much love to our Gen Z, but unless they're Gen Z, um, and don't know who you are, like I said, you got your start on MTV's Road Rules The Quest.
Yes.
Let's go back. That's basically 2001. I was
Yeah.
14, sophomore. And for
I
me,
was
as I told
12.
you, no, as I
Oh
told
my.
you when I know, right? When I told you when I reached out to you, actually we could get more into that in a little bit. But you was on MTV's Road Rules The Quest, and that was the year that MTV decided to do like this mashup with Real World, where it was like you
Yeah.
guys, everyone. It was like a big casting thing of a certain amount of people, and
Yeah.
you guys didn't know where each will land. So walk us through that. Walk us
No.
through how you landed, or like what made you decide to go for the road rules. Tell the people.
Tell you the base my origin story. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The basics of it is that I had graduated college in 2000 and I had gone back home. So I had just recently started coming out in school, but not back home. And so after I graduated, I was like trying to do anything I can to get out the house because I felt awkward not like being my full self.
Mhm.
And so I was working on a film crew, like an independent film crew, because I thought I wanted to be a PA. And this guy Dexter was like, "Hey, they're having open calls for Road Rules and Real World in Boston." And I'm like, "Well, I've never been to Boston, and I could go check out my friends from school because my college was along the way." So I made a trip of it. Stopped off at my college, saw my friends, went to try. Oh, I remember this. I went stopped by the college to see my friends because Jill Scott's album just dropped, her first album, and I
Love
wanted to pick up
her.
that CD. I wanted to pick up that CD so I can listen to it on my road trip. So I picked up her and this girl named Doria Roberts, and I was reading this book, Black Boy by Richard Wright. So I was set. So I drove up to Boston, and it was at Fenway Park. So I got to Fenway Park, and I'm like, "Oh, there's no line. Nobody must have known about it." My Because I graduated college, I get there a day early. I messed up the dates, so I ended up have to park and sleep in my car, and then go to open casting call the next day. So I was like, "All
Oh
right."
wow.
Now
So
I
yeah,
hope this was summertime.
this was in
Spring.
the fall. It was like September,
All right, not
September,
too bad.
October.
Not
So
too
then
bad.
when I went there, I kept advancing. I didn't expect to advance. I had no intention of it, but somehow I just kept going. And then I ended up on the casting special. So at the end of the casting special, they only chose 13 people and didn't tell you what show you were going to be on until the day they picked you up to go to the airport. So that happened. They picked us up in end of December. A black car came to pick us up. We got to the airport. Some person that you've never seen before with a camera opens up the doors like, "Congratulations, you're on Road Rules and you're going to Morocco." So I'm like, "All right."
Wow.
So yeah. Oh, prior to picking us up though, the way they did it was that they sent us a set of luggage, and then they sent us one of those hiker's backpack with your names on it.
Mhm.
So you're supposed to pack like you're going on Road Rules, but have two bags ready just in case you made it on Real World, so they could ship it to the house. So when I got there and I found out I was going to Morocco, I was so relieved because I didn't want to do Real World because it was back in New York. I'm like, why do I want to live exactly where I'm from? That's awful. So,
There you go.
but
And thank you for answering the question because I would be like, if you had your choice, which one would it have been, Real World or Road Rules?
nah, man,
But there you go, Road Rules.
by far Road Rules. But it would have been fun being in my 20s, living in Chelsea and just having a good old time. I can't even begin to tell you the stories that came out of there.
Yeah. Your Road Rules cast had a lot of a lot of you guys went on to do the challenges. Adam,
Yeah,
Blair, even if it was one challenge, a lot of you got plucked for it. Like your whole
yeah,
cast. So like I like to see I call that like a all-star cast where it's like not a lot of cast members, whether Real World or Road Rules, got to do it. It was only select few. So to see your whole cast at one point or another do these challenges
yeah.
afterwards is pretty dope. I consider that an all-star cast because each one of you went out to do that. Now after Road Rules, you did Battle of the Sexes too.
Too. Hmm.
And you made it to the finals. You made it to the
I
finals. Congrats.
I'm
How
telling
was that
you.
experience?
Well, I knew at the time that I knew that that might be my only challenge I'll ever get asked for, because I mean, compared to everybody who was on reality at that time, I wasn't that interesting or caused so much drama. I knew my place. So when I finally got on this challenge, I'm like, if I don't make it to the end, this might be it, or So I worked out and I was like, I'm gonna win this. I just visualized it every day that I'm gonna make it to the end. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna make it to the end and I'm gonna win. And so sure enough, I made it to the end. And oh, actually, what helped me was that so Coral and Arissa were like the people to decide my fate at the end of it because it was between
Mhm.
me and Tina to go to the finals. And what people didn't realize is that Coral and I we had a decent relationship based because of the casting special because me and her were in the same room together. And she was just a Cora's one of those people who's very smart and is a really good heart and very caring if she allows you to be on that side of her,
Mm,
But she would never attack you if it wasn't called for. It's
I
not
love Coral.
unprovoked. You
I
know,
love her. She's like my spirit animal.
I would love to
yeah,
see her again on on All Stars as well. Like I love Coral as well.
she's a funny lady. I haven't seen her in ages, but yeah. Gosh, did I just lose my topic? What were you talking about? The challenge? Oh, how was it when I won on the challenge?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I
The
was super
experience.
hyped.
Mhm.
I was super hyped, and when I found out the challenge, because that whole challenge, I wanted to do some crazy stuff, but the things that they gave us wasn't, too challenging, and I was kind of turned down by it. I was like, ah. But when I had found out I had to jump out of an airplane and compete a course, I was like, this is what it was about. I was scared out of my mind. I never wanted to jump out of a plane. But you know what? If I have to do it, I have to do it. It's surprising what you would do when you have other people watching you, man. 'Cause it's like you just don't think, you just do. Because the minute you think you're done, son, you're done.
Yeah.
um, we'll definitely get into All Stars 2 a little later. You made your return after taking off many
Yeah,
years off because, like we said, Battle of the Sexes 2 was your the last time we seen you. Now,
yeah,
going back to something I wanted to say at the beginning, and you yourself brought up, you came out on TV. You didn't even come
yeah.
out to your family. You came out on TV first. And like I told you when I DM'd you and it was talking to you, um, you were one of those figures. And to be honest, back then for me as a millennial, being 13, 14 at the time, coming into my own, knowing I was gay, but keeping that inside,
Yeah,
um, seeing figures like you, and yes, we had De Pedro and San Fran. We had
yeah.
Pedro before, and we had other, LGBTQ
Remember?
members, yeah, from other things, but not as much. And again, for me, being a millennial 13, 14, and then seeing the likes of you on TV, and then the season after, Shane. So to see more of that
Mm,
representation, especially in more of a roughneck road rules type of thing, was an inspiration
yeah.
for me. It was really inspirational, and to see that. So I want to say thank you because it was people like you that I'm like, okay, it's not wrong for how I'm feeling, and I could do it too.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So, thank you for that. And now, how was it coming back and having to? You already came out on TV, but now having to tell your family. Like, how was that?
Well, it was a
Ooh.
little nerve wracking. It was nerve wracking because there were a lot of factors that happened. Was that so when I came out and decided to like tell everybody that hey, I'm a lesbian. I wasn't even. I had no intention of doing that on the show, to be honest with you, at all. It wasn't because I was very at the time very adamant about like I don't want people to see me as just the gay person because there was more facets to me. But the minute a label gets put on you, that's all that's being seen. And so I never really wanted to talk about it or really make a scene of it because I didn't want to be pigeonholed myself that way. I mean, in retrospect, I wish I didn't do that because it could have helped more people. But this was the first time I ever put myself first over my family and anybody. I've never did anything like that before. I always stayed in line and always worked with the team, but this time it was just like if I don't do it for me, then nobody's ever going to do it. So it was a big thing for me to step out and show myself or yeah, show my ass. So I really did. So after that was there was a at the time there was a policy on MTV where because of something that happened. I think it was from Danny from New Orleans. He wasn't out to his family before the show. So they told me that before the show, I have to come out to them during the interview process. So of course I lied to them and said I did, and I just didn't do it to my dad. So they made an exception, was like, okay, you can tape the show, but before it airs, you have to come out to your family. So oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you about this. So I didn't forgot to tell you that's why we're here. So okay. um
Give it to us.
One thing, we so they flew us out for when the casting special aired before our season started. They flew us out for a premiere party. So I went into Los Angeles and had a good time. Didn't tell anybody in my family because I knew on the casting special I made out with somebody, and I didn't want them to see it. So I went away, and then I was having a good time. Like, yeah, we're the new cast and stuff. I come back home. I called my cousin because I was living with my cousin at the time. He's like, "Yo, don't come home." And I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "They saw it." I'm like, "What?" My little sister told my mom, and my mom called the whole entire family, and they watched it, and not everybody saw it during that time. Ah,
Wow.
man, talking about having my spot blown.
What a way to come out.
It'd be the little
Yeah,
sisters that do it. The little
yeah.
sisters.
She's like, I didn't know. I'm like, damn it, Claudia. You know? But
Oh.
yeah, but I'm glad it got done. It took a while. You know, my mom played the guessing game first when I tried to tell her. She's like, Sophia, what is wrong? I'm like, oh, mom, I'm sorry, I have something to tell you. I'm so scared. She's like, oh, what is it, Sophia? It's like, are you pregnant? I'm like, no, mommy, I'm not pregnant. She's like, okay, just checking, just checking. She's like, oh,
The Haitian
Sophia.
accent is on point.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, Sophia, are you dying? I'm like, dying? No, mom, I'm chill. I'm fine. She's like, okay. And then she hit it on the head. She's like, no, Sophia, are you gay? She's like, yes, mommy, I'm gay. She's like, oh, I wish you told me you were pregnant. You know, so
Oh,
there.
no.
So there was my mom.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
mean,
then,
yeah.
and then, yeah, so it was interesting. Eventually, it all came around, and my parents, I think they were more worried about how people were going to receive me. But when I started walking out in public and they were there and everybody was giving me a lot of kind words, it alleviated a lot of the pressure, and they started coming around. And
Awesome,
that's where I'm at now.
awesome. Now, good, Mother.
Now I was gonna say I
Hmm?
feel like you paved the way for some other Road Rules alumni, like
Yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah,
Oh,
And
Rachel did come after. Yeah, Rachel was
yeah,
yeah,
after.
she came right after.
Yeah,
I
top
think
the
some
top,
a
the
lot of
queen.
yeah, but a lot of them didn't really even have to come out the way you did. They You basically paved the way.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
props to you.
little old me.
Or nowadays in the current challenges, it's just fine. The girls just kiss on girls, and that's not even coming out. It's just the girls just kissing on girls. Boys
I
just kissing.
know. I'm like, I don't want any visitors. I need some real people over here. I've had a lot of flybys.
Now you took a break after Battle of the Sexes. It's been, and we'll get into All Stars a little later.
Yeah.
So you took a break, and there was many years you were off. Now talk to us. Let's talk life. Like, how was life after, being on reality TV? Not only Road Rules, but then you were on the challenge. So how did you find yourself navigating through life after your stints on TV?
Well, my whole 20s is a blur because of it. We so I went out. A bunch of us used to go do like these bar crawls, like where we go in the Midwest and make appearances and stuff like that. So a good portion of my time was doing that. There was a time where me and Derek Kaczynski, me and him were on the road together for a month and a half, all through the Midwest. Never did I think I'd be in North Dakota, but I was there. I was in Arkansas where I learned how to shoot a gun for the first time. Never did it again.
Oh
I was in
wow.
Alabama. Interesting. I got a good reception in Alabama, believe it or not. Best time in North Dakota. Can't explain why, but I did. And I got to see really cool places that I never thought I'd be. Like, nobody takes a trip to like Indianapolis, just for the heck of it. So it was really cool to see those parts of town. And then after I did that, I moved to California. I moved to Colorado. Then I moved to California, and then I moved back home. And from home, I started. Gosh, there's so much I haven't had answer. I apologize. Nobody's asked me that question in a long time, so my brain is spinning like, oh, but
No, it's
then
all
there's
right.
this and this and that. Yeah. So afterwards, I did that. It was really hard for me to get used to people knowing who you are on the street. And when your anonymity goes out of the way, I remember this was the beginning of when MySpace was still first coming out, and I would
Mm.
have people accost me on the streets like, you didn't accept my friend request. I'm like, what? I don't know you. It's like, and this is why I got pushed a couple of times because people were mad that I didn't say yes to them. But MySpace was just new back then, before even Facebook came about.
Yeah.
Right.
And so being known and being seen everywhere you go was a little strange because I'm a pretty private person and pretty low key. And so it's not fun being a little tipsy and being recognizable. It's like you found that out the hard way. I'm like, maybe I need to check myself a little bit. But that's what your 20s are for. Bad mistakes, bad judgment call. So after that, I ended up dating a little bit. The most recent things that happened is I was in a relationship for about 6 years, about 3 years ago, which I co-parented my ex's son, who's like my son, and so we're still in good terms. They're in California now, and so I just raise them from afar and visit them whenever I can. That's about it. But he's a cool dude. He doesn't believe that I did this stuff because he just knows me as the Sophia when he met me, and I was out of shape. I wasn't doing too well for myself. I went through a rough spot. The relationship wasn't healthy, not because it was toxic. It was just, sometimes it's like when your shit and their shit don't work together. It's just doesn't. It's not a good match. Because then
You
you're
preaching to the
sacrificing
choir right
something.
now.
Yeah, it's
That
like
yeah.
you sacrificing something and you feeling like you're resenting them because you're doing this. And especially if your languages, and it's true, if your languages or love are different, it's horrible because it's going to be constant unfulfillment, constant resentment, and constant chasing. And you're always going to
There,
be chasing.
and people don't believe there is a such thing as love language. There is such
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
thing. There's even a book about it.
Yeah, because then you question, like, there's points in the relationship, like when she was feeling sick, I'm the person, like, I will coddle you and take care of you, but the way I take care of you is like I'll make sure you have soup, I'll clean the house, I'll take care of everything else. So all you have to do is sit in here and rest. But then she would get mad because I wasn't there all the time, like, oh, come on, baby, da 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 da. And I get it. It's not, and neither of us are wrong, but it's
Yeah.
just it didn't work. So that made me sound very callous, like tough up,
No.
sucker.
No, 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 not at all. Not at all.
No,
So,
So
that makes sense. Go ahead,
yeah.
Charlie.
Oh,
no,
so
so no, I want to elaborate because you said you went through some dark times, some rough times.
yeah,
Thing now, because a lot of people think, oh, reality stars, they get on a TV show, they got it made, and stuff. Especially nowadays, I feel it's easier with social media. But back then, you do reality, you go back to the real world. How
yeah.
was that transitioning? I know you said the anonymity and all that stuff, but how was it transitioning and like you said, going into some dark times after being on the road, being on TV? How did it feel? How was it for you? Like going through dark times, being where you have been before on TV, and going and just trying to maneuver through all that as a person in the real world.
It's kind of like at first in the beginning when everybody knows you and you lose your anonymity. Gosh, that was a tough. I can't with that word. Uh, it's a weird thing because so the one I remember feeling at one point like I went on this show and I just was myself and all of it. I just showed you whatever because at least for myself, I don't know how to function any other way. I've tried and I can't. So I'm just there. And so you feel exposed. And now people see this thing that's who you are and it's no longer yours anymore. It felt like I gave myself and I didn't leave anything for me. So that makes you have to re identify yourself and re understand who you are in the midst of all this. And with the relationship that I was in for 6 years, it was the best thing and the worst thing that was for me. It was the best thing. It was the worst thing because I hit my bottom. I drank too much. I gained so much weight. I got to be like 190 pounds, which I've never been before. I I had low self-esteem. I didn't believe in myself. It was kind of like I committed myself because I said to myself, I never imagined dating somebody with a child, but here I am, and I have to make a decision. Am I here or am I not? Either way, I have to fully commit. So when I decided that I wanted to be there, I fully committed, and that was the first time I completely put myself through the whole thing. No matter the ups and downs of the relationship, I was going to be there. It's kind of like my ex would say, it's like, well, if a light bulb goes out, you don't change the house, you just change the light bulb. So I just stayed there. But the problem is that because when I dedicate myself to something and I follow it all the way through, but I didn't know how to leave when it wasn't good anymore. I just kept trying and trying and trying and trying. And by trying and trying was me losing more of myself, myself, myself. And I thought I was resilient enough to always come back, that I had enough for everything, but I didn't. And it wasn't until I got out of the relationship that I really saw the damage I did to myself and the toll this all took, and where the stories of why I did the things I did, where it came from. And it always comes from your little girl, from whatever you learned from when you were younger. It always starts with her. It starts and
Always.
ends. Or him. Sorry.
Yeah.
Whoever you feel you are on the inside. So pulling out of that and then being in the scene of everything, such an interesting dichotomy, because one way everybody sees you this way, but you're going through this, and now you have to look like this person, but you feel like this. So it's a tough place to be, especially if you are exactly what you are no matter what. Like, I can't hide my emotions from my personality at all. It's the same thing. Does that
No,
answer, or did I go off
no,
on a
no, no, no,
tangent?
absolutely, no, 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 absolutely, no. And you're making me think about. So, I mean, I think a lot of people, even people watching or listening to us, if they're streaming us the next day, I think we could all relate to that. You hit some points, and as you're talking, I'm like thinking about a certain relationship that even to this day I thought about. Because I'm a very retrospective person. Like, I should have gotten out. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
all the things I went through, and you know that relationship, Melanie. All the things I went through so bad, like, and it's like, why didn't I get out? So I think a lot of people can relate to that,
Yeah.
Melanie. I mean,
I can relate to that because I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I've realized like it's okay to leave at a decent time. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to force situations, and I'm learning that even through therapy. But there's also it doesn't need to be messy. It could just be a
No.
transition to a different relationship, or it could just blossom into something later on. Like it sometimes it's hard to stay optimistic, especially when you're in that like bubble and that mentality. But yeah, I think when I was in my 20s, that was something like that I've dealt with and couldn't relate.
Hmm.
So I get it. You should be like a relationship counselor.
Oh, me? No.
right,
Yes, you should.
right. Yeah, other career now.
Because the way you describe it was like very
Yeah,
like
on point.
it wasn't one sided. It was very on point. Yeah.
Well, that's generally how things are. I think that's what it is when you get older. You start realizing how it's never anybody else. It's always you. And it's kind of like is still going to be who they are no matter what. And nobody
Yeah.
strives to be their fuck. I've never met a person who tries to be their worst. Never. Everybody's trying the best they can do with what they got. And
Yeah.
it's depending what you deal with, what you got is how you react in life. And then once you start feeling okay with like the hand that was dealt to you, people can blame their childhood, what happened to them in high school, or their
Mhm.
parents, or something like that. It's
Relationship
always something.
trauma. Yep.
Exactly. But just because those things happen doesn't mean it has to define you. It's just what you started with. It doesn't have to be who you everything that you are. It's just a roadmap. And once you start doing the work and uncovering why things matter to you and why this person affects you that way, where is it really coming from? It's just so much easier to breathe and live life, because you realize it's really all about you and what you want and what you accept and allow in life.
Mm.
Nothing happens to you that you can't handle. There's no reason. Life is not to get out to get you. It's to show you different paths. And if you're doing something that just seems like, why am I here? Da da da. There's always a good reason for it. Because think about anything you've done in life. something good has always come out of it, and you've advanced and you've evolved, and now you're stronger and better. So that's just the whole point. It's now just working with life. Once you realize that it's with you, not against you, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, it's hard sometimes, because still have to deal with other people,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you,
Let
But
the
you
let's
church
also know.
people say amen.
Amen.
But like what
Um,
we were talking about, you know when to leave.
no, exactly. But how would you say how do you heal from that? Like, I don't know your specific relationship and what you went through. As you were talking, one particular one came to my mind. How do you heal from that? Like, how what advice would you give to people? 2 years they've been gone from that relationship, but there's still some lingering things, or like you said, you recognize it. How do you? What would be your advice of how to heal for yourself?
My advice would be to take accountability in everything, because it's when something is wrong, it's not one person, it's two people involved. It's either the person who allows it or the person who does it. It's how do I explain it? I would just say take accountability, because once you see your part in it, then you release the power the other person has over you, because you can only control what you do. You can only That's the only thing you got. You can't really understand why this person does this because you didn't live their life, and it's not your business. You don't know why they choose to run this way. You really can't figure out why other people's operating system. All you know is what you want in your life and what you don't want in your life, why you allowed it, where it came from, and what you want to do about it if you want to change that. So
Yep.
that way,
And
if you keep again,
I was gonna
if
say
that way,
your responses are your responsibility.
exactly, that's all you got. And so with healing with that is like understanding why this person played such a part in your life, and really understanding why they're there, and being okay forgiving yourself about it, understanding the part they played in your growth, and just let it go with love, because in the end of everything, there's always love at the end of it all. You know, you can hate your ex so much, but you still love them. If they really needed you, you'd still be there, because you guys had a moment in time that was only between the two of you, and you should never forget that. You had a special amount of time that was only made sense to the two of you. That's it. Everybody looking in, everybody that you shared information of will never understand, because only you two know the bond and the connection.
That's so true.
That's
I agree. Although there's some, no, there's still some exes that they called and it was like, I need. I'm like,
a
no,
girl.
get
Trust me.
away.
Trust me. I was like, we're done here.
Right.
Well,
All right, but let's have some fun. Let's break off from a moment from the questions and play a little game, Sophia. We here at the Inner Circle podcast, we like to play games, but the good games, the fun games, not the games that give us headaches. And this one we had to design it around you. It's called Build Your Challenge Squad. Now I'm gonna go through a few different category points. I'm gonna go through a few different category points.
Okay.
You're gonna choose from two choices of who you want on your challenge squad. All right. So you ready?
Okay.
That
I'm
makes
ready.
sense? All right.
I'm ready.
Nothing crazy here. All right. So let's make sure we think. All right. For strength. For strength. This is the team you're building for strength. And in case you can see the picture pop up, who would you pick for strength? Mark Long or Mike the Miz?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I know, right? If for people watching that may not know that Mike the Miz may only know the Miz from WWE, he got his start with Sophia. And that same, remember the question, we were
Yeah.
back to New York. That was the thing.
Yep.
He got his start back to New York. The same season that Sophia did the quest, they were all in that casting special.
He
Together.
was
So sorry.
he was a little ignorant back then, but who would you
Yeah.
choose, Mark
You,
or?
fresh from Ohio, that guy.
Mhm.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, yeah.
like physical strength wise, I think Mark might be stronger, but I think working together, I might work better with the Miz, because not only is just strength, it's about how you work. Because I know Mark is very focused and very kind of a leader. So I'm good at following also, but I think I speak out of turn a lot all the time. I'm like, no, we should be doing this. So I think I would work. I think I would work well with the Miz.
Miz, all right, there we go. We have one, the Miz. Now,
I don't
for
know.
the
Mark is a badass too, though. But all right, go
Mark
ahead.
is the Godfather.
yeah, the Godfather.
You know
Thanks
what?
to
I'm
him.
gonna change my. I'm gonna go with Mark because
Yes.
because I
Yeah,
think if he was my partner, I'd be like, I can't let this man down. It's not gonna be
yeah.
me, you know.
And shout out to him for us nostalgic MTVers.
For
Thank you
making it
for All
happen.
Stars for making that happen. Like Mark.
Yeah, man.
All right. So next, Puzzle Master. This is someone you
Mm.
want on your team because they are amazing at puzzles. We have this season, the main challenge recent winner, CT or Veronica.
I do CT.
CT,
Ooh.
Yeah,
yeah, that
I
was
can.
quick.
Yeah,
He's good
he's
though.
smart. He's very smart. He's very good under pressure, and he has a lot of years of experience under his belt. So that would come to an advantage.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, hello, he just won two back-to-back seasons. So yeah, he's great at puzzles. Good
Yeah.
choice with that. Now, every team needs a drama mama, someone who's just full of drama and may
Mm,
scare off the other team, or the
yeah.
other opponents on the other team. Now, out of the drama mamas, who would you pick? Tina or part of your the Quest Road Rules cast, Miss Katie Doyle?
Oh gosh, that's tricky.
Drama mama.
I would. Oh gosh. I would take. I would take Tina for the win.
Tina, all right, all right. It was good seeing Tina back as well this season, but we'll get into that. Now, this one we're gonna call it showmancy. But really quick, Sophia,
Good.
do you watch the current challenges?
I haven't watched the current ones. I've been watching like those clips on YouTube, so I know a lot of the players.
Well, we're gonna call
Some
it
of them.
showmance, but there's a new term. I know Melanie's like I asked her yesterday. I'm like, am I gonna offend Sophia if I use this term? But I gotta bring it up. We've been chit chatting. I think Sophia won't be offended. Well, the new challengers use the term politicking. Have you heard it? You
Yeah,
you heard it,
that
right?
makes sense. No, I haven't heard it,
That
but
makes
it's
sense, though. I don't,
My
that
mind
makes
went,
sense.
my mind went
It
straight
was-
to the gutter.
Yeah, well, it's politics. It's basically, challengers who, to be safe, they have a little showmance and cuddle buddy or
yeah,
whatever you want to call it, so they can maybe get further in the game.
yeah.
With this one, your choices are Anissa or Hisela.
Oh wow.
And we both seen them actually on All Stars 1 have a little showmance. So,
That was that was not authentic.
hey, most of the time they're not. A lot of these showmans.
Yeah, most of the time they're not. I don't know. That's really tricky. Oh God, you got me on this one. I think I want to say Hasela, but I think my gut is saying to go with Anissa. Only just because, yeah, I would go
She's
with
done it
Anissa.
longer, and we've seen her do a lot of showmances.
Exactly, and she could show Massa on the side somewhere else as long as we get there together. Like.
Right? All right. So we got two more. For running endurance, who do you want
Yeah.
on your challenge squad? Mr. Darrell Taylor or Eric Neese?
I would do Darrell.
Darrell. I love Darrell.
Yeah,
He's so fine.
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him. Me and him, we were in the same room in All Stars, and I learned a lot just by watching him and the way he played his game.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And when I was spinning out of control, he kind of was like, "You need to, don't worry about it." Blah blah blah. But
Aw.
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. He looks like a stand-up guy. Like, we
Yeah.
only see a little bit in clip, editing and all that, but he looks like a stand-up guy. Our last one, I call this the silent killer because sometimes in these challenges, there's that challenger who just skates by and wins or makes it
Yeah.
to the final and we didn't know. But this one, the silent killer, who do you want on your team? Yes or Jonah?
Johnny.
John A.
John A. I'm sorry. Why did I say Jonah? John A. Sorry, John A. John A.
I would take John A.
John A. She impressed me. Baby, the last two seasons she's impressed me.
She's got an interesting game. Me and her, she was also in my room. Me and her realized that we have a lot of similarities in the way that we do things and the way that we play our games. So because she's really good at puzzles and stuff of that sort. So yeah, I would totally take her as a silent killer. I don't really know Yes, but he's probably just as good. But I know John A. more.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, just, as you know, Yes won last season, and that was a surprise.
Mhm.
That's why I definitely have to pick up Silent Killer because I didn't expect that. Like seeing the cast and then watching this actual show and seeing him win, it's like I was happy for him because again, it goes back to when I was like 12 watching Semester at Sea. But
Yeah,
I was happy for him, but I was shocked that he won. And this season, again, All Stars 2 just aired. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but yeah, this season we know who won. So yeah, yeah. So good team, Sophia. Good team. There you go. Wasn't that hard?
thanks.
It wasn't
No,
that hard.
no, I'm excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see my team. We're gonna take this joint.
All right, there you go. You're gonna win the challenge championship with that team. All right,
See? Mhm.
but let's get back to you. Let's get back to let's get back to the last few years. You know, COVID has affected us all in a way that
Yeah.
has brought us together. And I mean, depending who you ask, but in a way has brought us together in some ways. What has been your journey in the past 2 years for you?
The past 2 years have been, I honestly, probably the best 2 years of my life for myself. I I grew so much in a way that I even am astounded to the person that I was before to where I'm at right now. Right before, like, it was like July 2020, so we were just like a few months into the pandemic. You know when you how do you explain it? You know when you just get so tired of your own shit. Like I was tired of saying the same things, tired of the same stories, tired of the same patterns, tired of
Mhm.
all the same things that I allowed, just everything. I was so sick of it, and I didn't know how to break out of my own cycle. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I have to change. Something has to give. And then I signed up for like a course randomly, and it was like this program called Manifestation Masters, and it was a 40-day program where you had an assignment every day. And when I tell you that thing just changed my whole entire life and reprogrammed myself, I call it like I had an update. So you know how your system reboots and they have new processing systems? That's how it
Yeah,
felt. Like I got a new way of living life that was more natural to myself, who I am, you know? And so
that's
when I learned
awesome.
that, and I learned the things that were I was getting in my own way, I started this journey on healing myself and dealing with my little person and really understanding what is going on here because we need to make some sense and change things. So I learned to live life a lot lighter and realize that, you know, I was always stuck on like if I was going to make the wrong decision or if I'm not doing the right thing or stuff like that. But the way this program worked, it makes you think like there's really no wrong decision because as long as it moves you somewhere forward, it's the right choice. You're always going to make the choice that is right for you. So there is no wrong. You know, it just one way might take you longer, one way may not. Like I said, it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there. That's the point. That's it. I think people get too caught in the story of the journey that they don't look forward because it's easy to get stuck in the things that you knew before that are comfortable, that are easy to figure out. It's hard being in the unknown and doing something that's unfamiliar to you. That's what was interesting about this challenge though, because in a sense it's like you're in like it feels like the Squid Game. It's like you feel like in a real life experiment, like, okay, I learned all this stuff about me. Here's an arena. Let's see if you really are what you believe you are, you know? So during the pandemic with all this growth, I believed a lot of these things and I was getting my confidence back. Like I never felt like I belonged on one of those shows. I never thought I belonged on Road Rules or on those challenges. I didn't find myself to be controversial enough. And I was like, I was surprised that I kept making it. I was like, wow, you keep asking me? I can't even believe it. It's like, all right, this is my lucky day. Slip one in, right? So this time in the challenge, I was like, you know, I belong here. I made it here, so I belong here. So be here. But during that time, I had just started uncovering all this stuff from when I was younger that I was making peace with. And when I tell you on that challenge, this is why I'm telling you, the universe is a funny, funny guy. All these little things, little triggers that I was healing back at home by myself in a pandemic around no one. And now I'm on television and I'm reliving all this stuff, like picking teams. I hated picking teams because I never really was fully accepted in elementary school and high school. So it was kind of a stressful point for me. And then like being part of a groups, I'm not I'm never disliked, but I was always that person that everybody was cool with, but I never really belonged to anyone, you know? So I was always kind of rolling solo, but I was good with everyone. And
Same.
that played out a lot on this challenge, and that's what played me in the end of it all. Uh because I had no enemies during All Stars 2, but I didn't have a crew either, you know? So I was kind of, and nobody really knew where I stood, but everybody enjoyed my company. So it was kind of
But it's funny
some
you
weird.
say that because you had from your cast, you had Katie and you had Steve as well. And do you find like maybe because after all these years, relationship time changes, like maybe you felt like you didn't have a crew that would support you?
No, I had it's like I had a crew. I had people that had my back. Like I knew Katie would have my back, and I know Steve has my back. I know we'd have each other's back. I know if push came to shove, Derek would have had my back, you know, and I would have had, and Casey and Kahada and Ryan would have had my back because we were all alternates on the first one together, and we kind of formed a bond. So I had people that, if needed, would be, but I didn't have anybody every day to hang out with where you could just be yourself and just laugh and
Gotcha.
enjoy things. So I kind of was rolling solo with that, and I just felt weird popping into other people's groups that they already had bonded, so I didn't quite I I don't know. I'm thinking that maybe that was me that did that, but I didn't feel like I quite fit in a little bit, you know?
Listen, I feel for me at a certain age too, as you're getting older, like I'm not trying to like. I mean, it's a game. It's reality TV, and especially it's a show. It's a competition as well. But where I'm at too is like I'm not trying to fit in that hard. I'm not trying like either you accept me, you take me for for what I
Yeah.
am, and I have a lot to offer. But I'm not gonna go above and beyond to try to be accepted in groups. Because like you, it was the same thing in school growing up. As
Yeah.
knowing I was always gay is like, I mean, I always know I was gay. Well, like and then just going through it, elementary school, grade school, middle school, like not feeling accepted. So it's like now as an adult, it's like I ain't trying. I ain't
Yeah.
trying hard to fit into no groups. You take me or you don't. And now it's like I feel like a lot of people want to take me, but I'm like, no, no, no. I'm selective. Now I'm selective.
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
but that's good to hear at least that backstory because I did feel like it's like well damn like Steve was on her season, Katie like where was that support? But it's good to hear that. It's good to hear
Yeah, but I know next time though I have to put myself out there and open myself up more
that.
to share who I am. Because I know a lot of people know me and they think I'm a good person and I'm kind and stuff. And that's all true, but there's a lot more levels to myself, and I have to get better at that and being comfortable enough just to put myself out there and show myself.
Well, tell us
So,
something that okay. So, for example, you just saying that you have to tell us something here on the Inner Circle podcast that you would do the next challenge or put yourself out there or share with people that a part of yourself, something that
I
we may not know from watching you.
oh me what about me that you don't know?
Yeah,
Oh goodness.
yeah. You just said you have to put yourself out there more, whatever, and share more. So, what's something you would say that people would be surprised, like that we may not
I'm a
know just from watching you on TV?
I'm a lot more funnier than you think. It's like
I mean,
I
we
don't
know that.
We know from the pre-show, yeah.
yeah, I don't think people realize that because they always see me all like in my feelings. But I'm actually really laid back, and I really find a humor in a lot of things. So I find life to be very funny. You have to trust me. But for the most part, I'm a pretty yeah. All I like doing is laughing and having a good time. I don't see the point of life being. If I don't feel like it has to be hard, and I don't want it to be hard, so why should it be? I've decided that no longer will I have that. And if I'm feeling some kind of way about something, I don't need to be there. And I'm realizing nowadays that you know I don't know. I can't even finish that sentence because I don't know where I was going. So somebody else could say it.
No, I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying.
I
I
think
don't
you're a
really know.
great contender, but like you said, emotions got like, I guess it got center stage instead of like being showing that side
Yeah,
of you where you can kick ass. Like you've made it to the final before, so I think going
yeah.
forward for the next time, strategize more and then be
Oh,
funny.
yeah. I'm already on that. You know, that's the funny thing. That's what I wanted to. That's so. You know how I was doing all that work from before I went on the show. So there is something I've been so one thing I've been learning to give myself permission to is allowing myself to feel all my emotions. So if I'm you know how when you're just not happy with the decision you make, like I can't believe I did that, or why am I so sad over this person who treated me like shit? I'm
Mm.
like, you know what? I'm gonna let myself feel that sadness all the way through because the more you fight it, the bigger it becomes. So when I feel an emotion coming through, I let it ride out, even if I have to cry it out or whatever, because once it's out, it's done. So I had done all this work, but 40 years of doing the same pattern is still stuck in your body. So your body still learns and gets triggered by the same things, even though logically and energetically, it's different. So I've been trying to release all this stuff out of the things that I broke and freed myself from. And I couldn't. I couldn't cry it out. I couldn't go. But sure enough, I go on this fucking challenge, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Here's where we're gonna let it go. I'm like, son of a bitch. So this whole time I'm with myself. I was like, you said you're gonna let yourself feel it out. So you're gonna let yourself feel it out. So I was like, fuck it. If this is where it is, this is it. So I let it out and I bawled my face off. And when I look at myself on this camera, I literally see my little girl just crying her face off, like, blah, blah.
Aw.
But sure enough, after I went through all that, the minute I got home, it was all out of me. It's like, it's so freeing. I have so much space for growth now. It's like beyond. So, granted, it was at my own, the whole world got to see me in my breakdown, but I'm glad it happened because in the end, I'm better for it. And
But
I
what
got
was
to.
the public's reaction? Were they like sympathetic? Did you get a lot of criticism? Because I consider you to be like Miss Congeniality on that show.
Well, that's a nice word. Thank you. I've been received pretty well. I think because I owned it and rather was embarrassed by it. I think I had to accept that because I was embarrassed because I knew that there was more and I knew that I was a good competitor and I was smart in a lot of ways and I know how to strategize, but my head was so far up my butt dealing with this stuff that I went for the experience and not the game. And there are people there for the game and there are people there for the experience. And those there for the experience are the ones who went home. So everybody who was there at the end was supposed to be there. I played myself in the sense where on my elimination, I defeated myself before I even got into the ring. I felt just so lucky to be here to try my best that I didn't go for the win. And Jody wanted the win, and that was the difference.
Power of the
Yeah.
mind. Power of the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now that
No,
I'm clear and I know what to do, I'm ready for it. It's just like I'm here for the game now.
right. So let's rewind it back to All Stars. You said you mentioned earlier you were an alternate on All Stars 1 that came out earlier this year. Then you made it to All Stars 2, which I was excited. And I knew you was an alternate. Like again, I as a host and a journalist, I do my little digging and I do my research, I do my work. So I knew you were an alternate, and I was excited to see you on All Stars 2, like the actual list. And I know about All Stars 3, but we're not gonna get there. We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna spoil. But what was that like? Okay, we was going through a pandemic. This things with the OGs happen. All Stars 1 is coming. What was that like? You get the call.
You're fine.
What was that whole deal like? What was the process like? You get the call to do these challenges. It's been years.
Woo!
What was your thought?
I'm gonna tell you. So the first for All Stars 1, the buzz started going out around October, and it wasn't until January where they made the decision after the New Year. I knew I had reached out to Mark. I knew I was like in the running for a position, And when they finally sealed the deal, they were like, "Okay, do you have a passport?" I'm like, "No." So I didn't have a passport, and
Come on, you
so
gotta
they were
have your
like,
passport.
"Okay." So they gave my position to somewhere else, but then Katie actually told me. Katie called me and she's like, "I heard you're having a problem with your passport. If you write your senator, they can expedite it and you'll get it within 3 days." So I wrote my local senator and they expedited my passport within 3 to 4 days, and which was big for COVID during right at
Note
the
to
height of the
self.
pandemic. Yeah, I didn't know
I
that.
just tell her, Melanie, we need our passports.
I got mine.
Oh,
I'm ready.
super.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, I was mad at myself because I've been meaning to do my passport. I'm like, you see, Sophia, you played yourself. If you had your passport, you would have been on that plane and da 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 da. So I got my passport and I wrote production. I'm like, hey, I got my passport if it means anything. They're like, okay, thank you, thank you. So a week goes by and they were like, okay, so we've decided we're going to have you as an alternate, uh, not the main cast, which means you're still going to go to Argentina and we're still going to pay you for it. I'm like, yes. I was like, I don't care. Put me on the back of the bus and even put me on the bench. I'll go, you know?
Nice.
And thank God for that, because if I did that first challenge, I would have died. I was nowhere near ready for this thing. I was so
Yeah.
out of shape. I was like, oh, hell no. And when I found out, because they told us it wasn't going to be crazy like these challenges that we were watching, they said, oh, you just get it
Backtrack.
together, have fun. I'm telling you, B. So when when I heard about one, because we were there for 2 weeks just for COVID safety. So when they started doing the challenges and we heard back what they were doing, I'm like, oh hells no, I would have died. So I'm glad I got more time to train a little bit to be at least ready for the one in Mexico. That was a relief.
So
I
then
have
the
a random
authors.
question,
Yeah.
real quick. So, had you stayed, had you still been in the game, do you think you would have been part of King's Palace?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Safety palace,
Oh,
safety
actually,
palace.
no, I probably wouldn't have. I probably, because I was in the same room with MJ, John A, Darrell, and all them. I'd probably be we'd be and Kahada and all them. I'd be with them
I was more that
because
team too.
yeah,
Honestly, that Darrell and that, yeah.
No,
because
I'm King's Palace.
I would like to be part of King's Palace, but I was cool with all of them. But that unit was set, you know.
Yeah.
You know when
Yeah.
there's a you can't break a circle.
A
It's kind of
click,
like
yeah.
that. It's like I wouldn't have. No.
It's like us. You can't break this inner circle right here. This.
Exactly. Hello. That's why there's only three and no four people on the screen.
There you go.
No
There you
space
go.
for you.
So All Stars 2 came, you're on the cast. Like what's going through your mind? Because now you've seen season 1 and what they actually did. Now you're in the nitty gritty. You're part of the cast for season 2.
Yeah.
So now what's that mind thought process and emotions going through you?
One, I was just like, I was, you have to understand, I love this stuff. I love competing. It's like my favorite thing to do. So every challenge, I was so hyped. I was like, what? We're gonna do this? Me? I get to do that. I was like so hyped. I was so hyped when I got to see all these other people. I was surprised that I knew a lot more people than I did because I didn't think I was gonna know anybody. Uh, I could see some people playing the game straight from the airport. Nehemiah was one of them because I couldn't read him
Oh,
because he had this stoic face. But as the because there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 to 5 days before you start taping that we're in the
Mhm.
hotel rooms doing like press stuff, getting our uniforms and things like that. So we'd all hang out and like kind of meet each other and do little kikis from here and there. And so I didn't get to really know Nehemiah till we got into the house, and he's a really solid dude. He's a very sweet guy. He's a very, very kind soul. So that's when I started to learn the difference between people and their characters and how they present themselves. Because I found that some people would turn the volume up on who they were because they've been on the shows for a while and this is what they have to do and to keep that to be their business. And then there were people who were exactly the same no matter what the situation was. So you kind of got to see that. I didn't know where I fit into all this. I didn't know whether I would be able to do a good job. All I knew is that in training to come on the challenge, the way that I trained for it was I don't know what to expect, but I don't want to not be able to do anything. So I just made sure I was well rounded and was able to at least participate and attempt to win, you know? S-
Hmm.
Because it's hard to train for an unknown. The same thing with the elimination. The elimination was really hard for me. That was my first elimination ever. And man, there's not really a lot of times where you get to compete head to head. It's just you versus another person. Like for like something real, you know? That's not like Monopoly or a board game. It's like legit. If you win, you got a chance for 500 grand. If you don't, then you out. So to spend the whole entire day preparing for something that you don't know what you're to prepare for, it's really unnerving. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. You're just anxious the whole time. You're supposed to keep your head in the game, like you're going to come back and win while still packing your bag. So it's just like it's a real, you got to have really good mind, mental fortitude and endurance. So I learned a lot about that during this game. There's a lot of things I learned in the field, like you got to be quick. To do physical activities and puzzles at the same time, that's a challenge on its own, man. I didn't really realize that until I had to play freaking tic tac toe with balls of fire. I was like, oh, this might be a weak spot that I didn't know I had. you know?
That was
So,
a cool elimination.
That
Trying
was
to take
that
toe with
was
the balls of
very. I
fire.
was like, yeah. It
yeah,
seems like when you think about it, it seems so easy, but that
I
shit, I'm
Yeah.
sure it was hard.
it was
That
hard. Me and her went 3 rounds. They only showed 2 rounds, but that joint was hard, man. And I actually don't really care for tic tac toe, so now I even hate it more. So,
So, quick question: we got a question from
oh,
one of
rapid.
our viewers, our circle friends, as we call them. When you get eliminated, do you really leave the house right away? Do you go
Yeah,
back to the house, get your stuff, or like
no.
there's a car ready for you to be like, bye?
Yeah, because all the eliminations are at night, so you have the whole day to do some interviews, and then you have to pack your stuff, and then production takes your bags, and if you lose, you go straight to the hotel where they hold you to do exit interviews, and then you go about your business. So when you're out, you're out.
Right.
It's no joke, you know. It's like, damn,
You're
not only
ready.
did I lost, you were like, you can't even see nobody, you know.
Let's go.
Yeah,
No, but
yeah,
I can see that. I can see why they would do that too. Because let's say, for example, and it's happened in the past, like someone goes
revenge.
down there, but they have beef with someone in the house. Like,
yeah.
if I was production, I wouldn't want like go back to the house. And now this person's like, let me snuff you on my way out.
Get
You
him,
know, so,
get him out. The same Bad Girls Club.
right?
Exactly.
How did you enjoy your time in Mexico?
I had a great time. I ended up staying there a week after. Like after
Oh wow.
I got eliminated, me and Ryan got eliminated. He was like, "You want to go do something?" So we ended up doing an adventure in Mexico right after, and then finally going back home. So it was
Nice.
really cool. Yeah, yeah. It's been interesting. It was. I'll tell you though. Once after I did my elimination and I was in the car, I was really proud of myself. I was proud of myself in the way I
You
handled
should be.
myself, and I was proud that I did the best I could at the time. But, I do I don't really have many regrets, but if I had to have one, I would say I wish it didn't play out the way that I had to use this platform to work out my stuff, but I'm glad that I did because I'm glad I am where I'm at. Now, do I will I get another opportunity to try again? I should hope so. I would like to. I'm gonna claim it that I will win this joint. I am for sure. I have to, if I don't say it, nobody else is. So I'm gonna
You
win that
better
So
joint. I'm
manifest
Sophia
it.
ready.
will definitely be at another All Stars because I
I
definitely
am
want to see
ready.
Sophia. I'm gonna put that to the universe too. It's gonna be at another All Stars, and you're gonna make it to the damn finals and win. At
You're
least
gonna
make it to
see
the
it.
finals, baby girl. Right here,
I'm
we put
gonna
it out
make
to the universe on this full moon, on this Cancer full moon. We're
And
putting it
when
watch
you
out.
next
win,
time.
you'll think of us and say, shout out to the inner circle who manifested this for me.
We
You're
manifested.
welcome.
Remember, we were doing little
Yes.
spells before the show. Here we go. We're doing it.
Exactly.
You're gonna
Dude,
win.
next time I'm on your show, I'm gonna have my $500,000 on the wall
There you go.
as my
There
background.
you go. I love it. I
I'm gonna
love it.
make a whole outfit out of
I
it.
know, right? Like yeah, Cardi B, she did a little thing. But all right, so Sophia, what's next? Like, okay, besides us manifesting you being and winning, what's next? Where are you at now? What's next for you right now, currently in life?
Right now, I've so prior to the show, I had resigned from my job from 20 years because I wasn't going anywhere, And so I've been taking this time to really figure out where I want to go next. I feel like I don't want to rush into anything just because, you're always supposed to have an income of money. So this challenge has given me a nice opportunity to have a small cushion to take my time for my next step. Oh my gosh, sorry, my dog just came in and scared the shit out of me.
No, it's okay. I have a
Uh,
doggy too.
He
Well,
just
he's not as
busted
big as
in
yours.
here.
What's
He
his
came
name?
in here like I stole something for real. Nah,
What's your
but
dog's
who are
name?
you talking to?
for real, it's like, what you talking about? Where you going next?
What's his name?
So a gizmo.
Shut up!
Oh
Gizmo.
my
Yeah.
god, that's Charlie's dog's
Gizmo,
name.
come here,
Are you
Gizmo.
kidding?
I have a Gizmo
That's
too.
him. That's Gizmo. Gizmo. There you go.
I have a
He
Gizmo
had.
too.
Oh, that's so funny.
Come here, Gizmo. He just came out the room as
Wait,
well.
did you name him after the Gremlins?
Yeah. And because he is a gizmo, he's a really cool dude. Get out of here, man.
Come here,
Sorry.
Papa. Come
He
here.
just came for a walk, so he's
Good
excited.
boy. Good boy. Come here. Let me show you
That's
up.
so
Come
funny.
here. Sophia wants to meet you. Come here. Come here, Gizmo. He's being
He's
shy.
lovely.
But my
Of
Gizmo kind
course.
of looks like had the patches of the gremlin, like that.
Got it.
The like white and come here, buddy. Come here.
He just left.
Ah,
I thought Daddy's working. There he
Oh,
is.
so
That's my
cute.
Gizmo. That's my buddy. Hi, say hi to
Man,
Sophia. She has a Gizmo too.
yeah. Came
All
in
right,
here
all
like
right.
a Gestapo.
All
But
right.
yeah. Oh no, I was just saying I'm just in transition. I've been working a lot more on my photos and I've been writing again. I actually met this really cool person because I think I want to write a song. Um yeah, cuz
So you're a writer. So you see, we're learning more about you. Like, so you're a writer.
yeah.
You do writing.
Well, I'm gonna start. I've always wanted to write a rock opera for when I get engaged and married. So I want to start that now because you got to set the vibration if that's what you want to receive
I
it.
was gonna say that you got to put intentions out there.
Yeah.
Put intentions
So
out.
it's time for me to start writing it because I had this one summer, this one year where I went to so many weddings and went to the church and went to that, but I had no idea how these people got together except from what I knew from the people I was there for. So I said at my wedding, everybody's gonna know. So I plan on renting out a theater, putting on a rock opera to show the story of how me and my babe got together and where we met up, and then at the end we're gonna get married. So when we go to the reception, everybody knows the story, and we're gonna have a real true kiki and celebration. We're gonna have a get down, man.
That's so sweet. I love that
I
too.
love that. Sophia, where could the people? I mean, we've had a great time, and we don't want to keep you too long. Where could our people find you, support you? Social media, anything you got going on. Let the people know all those good things right now before we let you.
Well, I'll tell you, the only social media that I'm good at is Instagram. So, and I'm getting better at it. I promise I'll do better. Twitter, I just don't understand it and I can't do it. I tried to it, but I don't know how to maneuver around it. So anything that I do will be up on Instagram, and I'll post it up. And I'll try to be better at my Facebook, but I've kind of abandoned it, which I
And
shouldn't.
what's your Instagram in case people want to follow
Oh,
you on Instagram?
see, you are good at what you do. My
I try.
Instagram is de la Soph, de underscore la underscore Soph, Soph. And then just my name, Sophia Pasquis on Facebook, because I'm pretty basic that way. And
There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, anything that I do, I'll put it up there. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And Melanie, where could they find us? Our
You can stream us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Where else, Charlie?
YouTube,
I'm gonna get a brain
Facebook,
fart. YouTube, Facebook. Yes, and
especially
you
the
can
YouTube.
listen. Yes, YouTube, subscribe. And you can also always watch us live Wednesdays at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much, Sophia, for being on. But
So
before we
Yeah.
leave, we
yeah.
we like to end it in gratitude.
Oh, okay.
So I know you mentioned being grateful for your time now and the things that you've had before, but is there something that you want to be grateful for now?
For now, in this moment,
Something that you're grateful for, yeah.
besides being, having this opportunity to talk to you guys and really get to share things. Because one, I don't really think about it very much, so it's nice to actually think about what I actually believe about this stuff. And just the fact that you invited me on your show is a really kindness, and I appreciate that because I don't think any less of myself or any more of myself. But if somebody's interested and really wants to hear what I have to say, that's like thanks. You didn't have to give me that time, but you did, so I appreciate it. So thank you. I'm grateful for you guys.
Thank
You
you.
know.
Charlie, what are you grateful for?
Well, it's funny because it's kind of like I know people are like, well, it's so corny that I get things, but my end of gratitude is you. Thank you so much for
Same.
taking a chance on our podcast, that the little podcast that could and will. And
Yes.
thank you so much. Like, honestly, going back to when I was 13, 14, watching you as a figure on TV, and just like having hope for myself as a
Mm.
gay young teen, adolescent. So, and the fact that you're here, thank you so much. Like, I'm very grateful. I was looking forward to this, and here we are. So,
Yeah.
I'm glad. My
Wait, but
gratitude to you.
watch. The next time I'm gonna come be on here, I'm gonna be a triple minority winner. I'm gonna be a woman of color, and in the lesbian community. I'm gonna win
I
that
know that's right. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Excited.
Manifestation. Melody,
Yup.
what's your gratitude?
Honestly, I'm just grateful for MTV like giving a chance to the OGs and bringing them back on, because one, I'm tired of watching ridiculousness, and also it's very nostalgic to see
I don't
people
even
that I
watch.
grew up watching and they're still like great people. Like I love the fact
Yeah.
that you're so humble and chill. I knew it was going to be a good vibe, so I'm really happy and grateful that you came on as well.
Oh, thanks. Frenzies forever.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this was an awesome show. We got to let Sophia go. We thank you guys for watching. You know where to catch us. Same place, same time next week. Love you guys, Circle
This
Friends.
guy.
Thank you, Sophia. Love you, Melanie. See you guys next week. We are out.
Bye.
Bye, Gizmo.
Bye, guess right. He's just chilling.